everybody, it's Mike McCalco here again. I'm a Drumeo instructor and helping out with Rhythm Magazine readers. And we just finished talking about Keith Moon and analyzing his style and his approach to the drums. Now I want to break down some grooves, some very famous grooves that he played with The Who. And I want to take it step by step and teach some of you folks how to play this stuff really simply. If you guys are more advanced, you can obviously take it full tempo. I'm going to do everything pretty slow for the beginners who have maybe never ever learned this stuff before, who have a difficult time picking up some of these grooves which are meant to be played a little quicker. The first one I want to talk about is Baba O'Riley. Okay? Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, he rarely used a hi-hat, to the point where he didn't even have a hi-hat on the set sometimes. So a lot of ride cymbal or a lot of crashes, big crash cymbals. There's a lot of fullness happening, okay? Now, the cool thing about Baba O'Riley is it's an 8-note based rock beat, okay? And there's like 1/16th note in the whole entire two-measure patterns. Two-measure pattern of 8 notes with 1/16th note that's going to be played on the ah of 2 of that second measure. So to break this down, I'm going to do this real slowly, and I'm going to add no crash cymbals yet. We'll add the crash cymbals in a second. All I'm going to do is play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and two-measure pattern on the ride cymbal. Okay? Snares on 2 and 4 for both measures, but I'm actually going to add the ah of 2 as well in the second measure. Bass drum is on 1, the 3 and 1, the 3 and the 1. So the nice thing is it's a repeated bass drum pattern as you see as this song goes on. So here it is nice and slow, okay? Without the crash cymbals. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Do that one more time, a little faster. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, so what we got to do now with that beat is we got to add crash cymbals, okay, to count 1 of the first measure, the 4 of the first measure, and the 1 of the second measure. So 3 crash cymbals in total on the 1, on the 4, and on the 1, okay? Here it is. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So there's the essential groove for Baba O'Riley. Okay, so you want to practice that. Then we're going to do it to a click track at 80 beats per minute. So let's check that out. The next one I want to show you is one of my personal faves, a song called My Generation. And I remember when I was first listening to The Who many years ago, I thought, man, is this song ever hard to play? Because it's a swung 8-note beat, so it's actually played as a shuffle, which goes to show his technique was just fantastic, right? For those of you who can't play a shuffle, I'll show you the alternative to this. But when you see the 8 notes written, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, they should actually be swung 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and into that shuffle feel, okay? Now, the thing about this song is it's not like he plays the same pattern over and over and over. Every now and then he would add variation. So there's actually a second variation to this, but the first measure that I'm going to give you an example of is just a straight ahead swing shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, it doesn't sound like the song, does it? Well, because the song is a lot faster. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, That's pretty fast. Now, I couldn't do that when I first started playing, so I just played straight quarter notes just to be able to jam along to the tune. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or for some of you that can play the jazz ride pattern, maybe try that. So you've only got 6 ride cymbal notes instead of 8. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. But either way, you'll see that it's moving. We're going pretty quick. So if you've never played that beat before, start it slow and eventually work it up, okay? Now, the second part of this, every now and then he would throw in 2 snare drums on the 2 and the and then on the 4 and the and. So I'll play this slow for you. Remember, we've got to swing this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Pretty fast. It might take a little bit of practice. Maybe you want to just start with quarter notes and do that with the song, but awesome to get that happening. So let me demonstrate that for you with a metronome that you can practice with at 80 beats per minute. Here we go. So the next example is definitely a song that any Who fan knows, and it's called Who Are You? It was one of their biggest hits. This song is fun to play. There's so many different parts and so many emotions going through the song. And this is one example where you clearly hear Keith Moon playing the hi-hat. It's like, wow, what do you know? But once again, going back to that video of watching The Who in the studio, there is Keith playing a hi-hat on his right-hand side. So that's why I've got the hi-hat over here today. Now, not everybody has that. So if you guys don't have that at home, don't panic. Just use your normal hi-hat. And hopefully you have a hi-hat. That's definitely a must nowadays. Okay, so I'm going to play it just to honor Keith Moon. I'm going to play it over here just because it's fun to be able to do that, okay? So what's happening is it's a two-handed 16th note beat, okay, with accents, okay? Now I just took like a basic structure that you hear throughout most of that intro when the hi-hat comes in with a few accents. Playing the 16ths, the accents are on the 1, the ah of 1, the 2, the ah of 3, and the 4, okay? So I'm going to do that for you real slow over here. Ready? 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and... Now, one thing that you'll notice about Keith, especially with some live footage, is he didn't always stick to exactly what he recorded. He would like to mix it up sometimes, not go completely left to center, but there'd be times where I would hear him on live recordings doing something like this. Actually, I'll play it on this hi-hat this time. So for you guys at home that have this hi-hat, something like this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the basic structure is still there. He would just add some things to it. So don't worry if you're listening to a live recording and you go, wow, you know, he's playing way more notes than Mike talked about. It's true. He did that a lot, where he would constantly change things up because it was depending on his mood, how he wanted to play. So practice this on the hi-hat. You know, do it nice and slow just to make sure you get those accents in the right spot. And I'm going to demonstrate this for you at 60 beats per minute. So practice along with me. Now, one of my favorite grooves to play is the main groove that Keith used in Who Are You? And this one was pretty cool because I think there was a lot of influence for a lot of other drummers down the road to start using this kind of idea, especially with incorporating a floor tom into a groove, something we don't do very often. Now, it really helps if you have a hi-hat on the right side, but he played this sometimes on the hi-hat, but when you listen to the studio version of this song, you hear him playing the ride cymbal. So if you're playing a ride, you've got your left hand free for the floor tom. Now, what's happening with this one? I'm going to add the crashes later because the crashes are on 2 and 4. Okay, so that's a pretty simple addition. What's going to happen here is I'm going to go 1 E and a 2. So this is, watch this, okay? Okay, and then we do that again. So it's like 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4. So there was this little pickup note into the snare note. Booga, booga. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So once you get that, let's crash with our opposite hand when we hit the snare. So if you're hitting your snare with the left hand, crash on the right. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. So he'll play that quite a bit, and then of course he throws in these random fills every now and then. The second measure is actually playing one of these fills. So the first half of the measure is exactly what we just did, 1 E and a 2 E and a, but then 3 E and a 4 E and a is a 16th note fill going around the drums. Pretty easy fill, use a single stroke roll, 2 snares, so snare, snare, small tom, snare, 2 mid toms, 2 floor toms. Let me just talk about that fill for a second here. Okay, so as long as I keep it in a single stroke roll fashion, right, left, go over to the mid tom, right, left, right, left. Pretty cool fill, here it is. So now I'm going to put the beat for 2 beats in front of that and then play the fill. So I'm going to go 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, something like this. I'll do it slow. So it's a little bit of a weird one. You're going to have to practice that guy a little bit before you might take it up to tempo. So let me demonstrate this for you at 60 beats per minute. Check it out. So another really cool song by The Who is a tune called Behind Blue Eyes. Now, the drums don't come in until 2 minutes and 10 seconds, I believe it is. But when they do, it's in your face. And when I first saw the sheet music for this, I went, wow, it's kind of like a bolero. No, it's like a fast rock bolero. We won't even use the word bolero because what Keith's doing on this tune takes the word bolero and crushes it into a tiny little ball and lets it on fire and throws it in an explosive toilet, and it's not even existent anymore. So sorry, bolero, we love you, but that's not what he's doing. I've had some people say that it's a bolero. No, it's not. Snares are on, okay, and I'm going to play this real slow for you. So this is based on 8th notes and 16th note triplets, okay. So what's actually happening is he's playing on the crash cymbal or the ride, depending how big you want this to sound. 1 and 2 and 3 and triplet 4 and. So that da da da. Da-ga-da-da. There's this end triplet 4 being played on the snare. 1 and 2 and 3 and triplet 4 and, okay? And that little fill that he does on the snare, if you can get a crescendo in there, da-ga-da-da, and have that last note as an accent, that would be great. So here's just the little snare fill that he does starting on the and of 3. So that's the hardest part, okay? Now let me do it real slow for you, the whole thing. Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... So that's about the tempo that he plays the song at. You can listen to the tune and see exactly what I mean. Let me demonstrate this for you at 80 beats per minute. So those are what I consider to be some of Keith Moon's most popular grooves. They're a lot of fun to play. It just gives you an idea of his style of groove playing. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you all later.